Actually, the head of the National Election Authority, Councillor Hazem Badawi, have announced preparations and the organizing measures of the upcoming Senate elections. Badawi have reiterated that the authority have printed about 68 million vote cards and set 8,825 polling stations nationwide. Also, he said that voting abroad in the Senate elections will take place on Friday and Saturday, the 1st and the 2nd of August, while it will start on Monday and Tuesday, the 4th and the 5th of August nationwide. The Egyptian expatriates around the world are to flock to the polling stations abroad, kicking off a two-day voting for the Senate elections. The Egyptian embassy. Now we have our dear guest, Dr. Motaz Abu Zeid, the law expert. Good afternoon, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Dr. Abu Zeid, now it's only a few minutes, less than an hour, and the Senate elections are going to start abroad, with New Zealand as the first country to receive the Egyptian voters. How do you follow the preparations by the National Election Authority of the Senate election 2025?
Yes, of course, the process of the election of the Senate is a very remarkable democratic merit here in Egypt, since the constitutional amendment in 2019, while founding the Senate as the second chamber of, or the second council of the legislative power. And of course, the existence of this important council reflects a new system, or a new constitutional system here in Egypt in the legislative process. On the other side, I think Egypt covered a very long path for organizing the electoral process, especially outside Egypt, while counting, performing, or reforming the committees of elections, gathering more participation from people. And of course, this will reflect on the results of these elections, and of course, the formation of this new council.
Yes, Dr. Abu Zeid, the head of the National Election Authority, Chancellor Hazem Badawi, delivered a speech to the nation today, during which he called for all the Egyptians to participate in this Senate elections of Egypt 2025, saying that this is considered or shows the free will of the Egyptian citizen. What is the importance of the participation of the citizen in elections?
Of course, it's very important to participate in these elections, because Egyptian people, since 2011 and 2013 revolution, they proved to the whole world that they have a free political will, and they can reform the political life in Egypt as they want and as they have an intention. And according to this, the electoral process, or elections, and some referendums that Egyptian people passed through, reflect the political awareness of people. And of course, since the foundation of the Senate as a very important council in the legislative life of Egypt, and this will be the second election for this council, of course, the participation will achieve the real, or will reflect the real intention of the people. And on the other side, it will reflect the right process, or the right practice for the democratic process here in Egypt through the elections and the great participation, or the wide participation of people.
Yes. Also, the head of the National Election Authority Council, Hazem Badawi, said that there is coordination between the national authority here in Egypt and with the outside embassies, for Egyptian embassies in foreign countries and consulates, in order to handle the preparations and the organizing of and taking the security measures for the election process. How did you follow this as a man of law?
Yes, of course, since the issuing of 2014 Constitution and assuring the right of election for Egyptians outside the borders, of course, this took a great part in every organization and ruling of the electoral process from the national authority here in Egypt, and of course, contacts and coordination and cooperation between this national authority and the embassies of Egypt outside Egypt is very important, because embassies are the formal and the essential representative of our republic outside, and of course they have the right to organize these committees and this electoral process for Egyptians. And of course, since the last elections and the previous one, it reflects great participation from Egypt, from Egyptians outside Egypt, and of course this made a great difference in the results and of course the formation of these legislative councils.
Yes, Dr. Abu Zeid, from the legislative side and the law side, what is the importance and the role played by the Senate Council in Egypt in general, the importance of its history and its role to the Egyptian legislature?
Of course, the formation or the existence of the Senate is very important in the legislative life according to constitutional and legal side. As we have the main legislative council, which is the Council of Representatives, which will be having its elections after the elections of the Senate this year. And according to the legislative process, the Council of Representatives played a great role in this process. But on the other side, we cannot deny that the existence of the Senate is very important, because it's making a new review or a new revision for new legislation, and of course they have their parliamentary tools in front of the government for questions, for investigations, for follow-up any governmental activities, and thirdly, they can perform their new activity or new function mentioned by the Constitution, which is measuring the reflection or the percentage of the success of each new legislation produced by the legislative power. And of course, this was a new function or a new activity performed or mentioned to this Senate. So the existence of this Senate is very important in achieving more democracy in the legislative process, and of course make a new formation of cooperation with the Senate and the Council of Representatives.
Yes, Dr. Abu Zeid, today there was a press conference organized by the National Election Authority, and the speaker was Chancellor Ahmed Al-Bandari, Executive Director of the National Election Authority, during which he provided the awareness concerning the preparations underway before the election of the Senate 2025 kicks off abroad. He said that the authority is providing the latest international standards for the citizens, whether inside Egypt or the expatriates, Egyptian expatriates abroad, in order to be able to know where is their committee in order to cast their ballots, to know more information. How do you see this elections coping with international standards in providing awareness for the citizens?
Yes, of course, you are right, because the National Authority of Elections here in Egypt is performing its function in a very good way in dealing with the Egyptian people inside or outside Egypt since the declaration of the beginning of the electoral process, the publishing and the propaganda period for these elections, also mentioning the names of the nominees on its site for the personal nominees or the list or electoral list nominees, the participated political parties in these elections, and what is their previous activities, or maybe more information about the nominees, and of course the dates and the places of the committees and the electoral process, and of course the procedures and the steps that every person must pass through the electoral process, and of course the timing or the timetable of the results and the final results which will reform or will constitute this Senate. Of course, all this information reflects a very professional attitude from this National Authority of Elections, and of course, more services can be presented for Egyptians, especially outside Egypt, like maybe election or the electoral process in an electronic way or via internet, and this will reflect to what extent a progress achieved by this national authority to perform the electoral process in a very democratic way.
Yes, during the elections, the importance of monitoring, of supervision, whether from Egyptians, whether from NGOs, how do you see this also?
Yes, of course, this will complete the democratic atmosphere for these elections, because the participation of all these categories in the Egyptian society is needed and will have a great effect in passing these elections in the right way. The civil society, one of the participators in this society which have a great interest to follow up the democratic process or the democratic change in the political life in Egypt, and on the other side, political parties need to have many information and many participation to be sure that these elections and the results for their nominees go through a very democratic electoral process. And on the other side, the main rule of the National Authority for Elections to perform or to present this electoral process in a right way. So the supervision of the monitoring process is essential. Even there will be a reducing nowadays, according to the constitutional text, to reduce the usage of any judicial monitoring in these elections. But I think the experience and the previous electoral process will have a great effect in these elections, even there is a reduction in this judicial supervision.
Yes. As a professor of legislation and law, Dr. Abu Zeid, give us an idea about what is the difference between the Senate or the Shura Council and the Parliament?
Of course, they have a great difference. Firstly, the timing of the elections of the two councils, and of course, the Constitution intended to make a difference between the timing of the elections for the two councils, as we don't suffer a period of total absence of any of the two councils. We must always have one active council of the two to continue or to make it a continuous legislative process. And on the other side, mostly the elections of the House of Representatives give a wider participation for nominees, that they have about 500 members. The elected members by the people are 400, and the president appointed about 190 members of the Council of Representatives. On the other hand, in the Senate, the most or the wide participation will be from the appointed members by the president, and the elected members by the people will be the smaller number. So this is a great difference, and this reflects the main power or the main function for each council, that the House of Representatives may reflect the public opinion more than the House of Senate. And on the other hand, the House of Senate may make the legal or the right legal form for the public interest for producing this legislation.
Yes. Dr. Abu Zeid, what is the role of the Shura Council through the history of the legislation life in Egypt?
Of course, the Shura Council had a great participation in the legislative life in Egypt, since it was firstly constructed in 1980, also by a constitutional amendment in this year, 1980, and it continued its participation in the legislative life till 2011, and after 2011, and by the issuing of the new constitution in 2014, which didn't mention at this year any information about the Senate, but it was a new constitutional amendment in 2019 to rebuild the Senate another time under the name of Council of Shuyukh, which is the new name of this council. Of course, it began by increasing the number of members of this council. The permission of the electoral process according to personal nominees and electoral list nominees, wider participation from more political parties here in Egypt, and of course, as we said, the new functions mentioned for this Senate by participating in issuing laws, have monitoring and supervision parliamentary tools against the government, and of course many researches and studies for the reflection and the percentage of success of these legislation.
Yes. So Egypt is going also to receive or to hold the inside on the Monday and Tuesday, the 4th and the 5th of August. Egypt is holding the Senate elections, which shows how Egypt is a secured country, ready for attracting tourists, ready for attracting investments. How do you see the Egypt receiving the Senate elections 2025 from this point?
Yes, of course, you are right. We are sure that the Egyptian government or the Egyptian state as a whole is ready for these elections, because, as I said, they are depending on a great experience for the Egyptian people to participate in this electoral process and its performance and its results. On the other hand, the military armies here in Egypt and, of course, the police forces presented a great effort in securing and organizing these electoral committees to help people to proceed their electoral process in a very comfortable and very successful way. On the other hand, as we say, the National Authority for Elections made a great effort and made a very remarkable organization for these elections, and this will give more comfort or more information and more awareness for the people, and that's what really needs before going through this election process.
I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information. Dr. Motaz Abu Zeid, Professor of Law, thank you very much for joining us over the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more updates on our continued coverage of the Senate election 2025.